So our first guest is Ashley Simpson, Director of Safety, Corporate Security and Emergency Preparedness for ITC. And as it turns out, June is National Safety Month, something I wasn't aware of. And so Ashley has joined us to talk about what ITC is doing as they approach safety and why safety is so important. So let's get right into that, Ashley. Kick us off by reminding everybody, we always start everybody off assuming that whoever we're interviewing, they don't know who they are. So let's start off with that. What is ITC and what do you guys do? I know, of course, but some folks may not, right?
Of course, yeah. So first, I want to thank you, Mike, for having me on today to talk about ITC and our safety culture. Essentially, we are the power that keeps the lights on in your homes and businesses. So power flows through a three-part system: generation, transmission, and distribution. And ITC is the largest independent electric transmission company in the nation. And so unlike your local power companies, we're uniquely focused on just the transmission portion of the system. So basically we move the power from where it's made and to where it's needed through high voltage transmission lines. And we develop, maintain, and build transmission infrastructure that holds the three-part system together. So an easy way to think about it is like our nation's highways. And so like how they connect us to local. That's kind of what we do from an energy standpoint. And in my role specifically as the Director of Safety, Corporate Security and Emergency Preparedness, I am responsible for leading all aspects of the company's safety, human performance, physical security, and emergency preparedness functions.
Okay, so ITC doesn't generate the power that would be the DTEs and consumers of, at least in Michigan, others as well, but you do connect all the various power and move it around the state, as it were, right?
That's correct.
Okay, good. So before we get into more details on safety, Ashley, let's talk a little bit about your background and why you decided to have a career in safety.
Yeah, so I'm actually an electrical engineer and I earned my bachelor's degree from Michigan Tech. And I started my career really early on at a utility, and I spent a lot of time actually out in the field. And in one of my roles, I actually worked at a nuclear plant as well, where safety is, of course, paramount. And so, that early exposure to the field and the plant really shaped my views about safety, as well as the risks associated with the work that we do. And so now that I'm at ITC and I lead safety, I really lean on those experiences to help shape my approach and philosophy when it comes to safety. And it's, the number one priority for me as well as ITC.
So why is safety so important to ITC?
Yeah, so it's important to us because at the end of the day, we're responsible for ensuring that every single person we encounter, whether it's an employee, contractors, or the public, goes home safe each and every day. And we work in an extremely, dangerous industry, and it's completely gut-wrenching for me when injuries occur or worse. And so, as I mentioned, it's the number one priority, and I hold myself, my team members, and others, just accountable every day to prioritizing a safe workplace and a safe work environment for us and everyone.
Sure. Okay. What safety advice do you give most to folks?
So when it comes to safety advice, the advice I give most often is, number one, assume failure will happen, right? So this directly ties to capacity and understanding, the vulnerabilities within our system. So if we can identify failure modes, we can prevent failures from happening. Another piece of advice I give is only start when safe. So this means begin work when proper controls are in place. And then lastly, start when sure. So this is really about being confident about the controls and the safety measures that you have implemented for work, and understand the expected outcomes of the work that you're performing. So it's really about being intentional about the work that's being performed and understanding outcomes.
You mentioned ITC works in a very dangerous industry. Indeed, it does. That's a lot of power going through those lines, right? So, of course, you want to be safe, but humans do make mistakes. So how do you prepare for when humans do make mistakes?
Yeah, so you're right. We all make mistakes. Everyone is capable of making mistakes. And so we work hard to use like a systems-based approach to make sure that our processes are adequately prepared so that we get people set up for success, right? So that goes back to what I was saying about start when sure, start when safe. A few examples of questions that we encourage people to ask before they do work is lead to unintended outcomes and how can we prevent them? And also, are we using the right tools at the right time to facilitate successful performance of work? And so it's just really important to recognize the conditions change, and it's expected that, you reevaluate the conditions and what changes may have happened from a safety perspective before you start to perform work.
All right. And do you have any safety advice for the public?
Yes, of course, definitely. So it's essential for everyone to know and understand safe practices for living or working near transmission lines. And so we have some great resources on our website. And so this can be found at ITCholdings.com, operational excellence /safety. Also, the most important advice I would say is if you encounter a down wire, call 911 or your local utility. And always assume that down wires are live. Keep yourself and others away until emergency workers can get there.
All right. So any final thoughts that you want to share? And again, one more time, give us that address so people can learn more about ITC and what it does and all that.
Of course, ITC-holdings.com, operational excellence /safety.